Mana? Ready, Mas Irwan?
Udah ya?
Udah, saya hitung ya. 3, 2, 1, masuk.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Alhamdulillah, we have almost done with our day with the Muktamar. So far, so good. Alhamdulillah, we've been having Sheikh Suhaib Web, Iman Bayud, Imad Bayun, and also a virtual tour to Turkey. So, and a couple of other breakout session in between. So, Alhamdulillah, today we are in under the entrepreneurship channel or department. We having our beloved brother, Dr. Iqbal Latief, who's reside in Houston. Let me tell you a little bit about him. I think I know a little bit about him. I've known him for 20 years or more. We've been working together a lot in the nonprofit organization in Houston area. And also we opened a company together in 2009. So we've been domestic partners in the business side, not in the other side. We've been a business partner for the last, 11 years. Brother Iqbal is not a stranger to the Indonesian community. He, way back then, he was sitting down in halakha with our beloved brother Nur Mahmoudi, and he also knows Rudy Himawan and all the other IMSA guys for a long time. So since 1990s, early 1990s. So anyway, he has his PhD from Texas A&M in chemical engineering and an MBA from UT. And also he's now a chairman of the Iman Academy school in Houston, which just has about almost 1,000 students with over 100 teachers. And then also he's running the company TQ Automation that basically we're partnering with. So anyway, so today he's going to talk to us about, because of this pandemic stuff, there are a lot of brothers that probably have less job than before, or even lost the job, or even trying to figure out how to overcome if there's something happen in their job, so that they can manage themselves and basically continue their life with their own company. And one of the things that I know that Brother Iqbal and I have been talking about since 2006, since we were involved a lot in the nonprofit organization. So the dilemma that we had at that time is that we can only spend our time, limited time, to the nonprofit that we love, because we have to work 8 to 5 times. So the only solution in doing the da'wah, being a da'i, not the only solution, is one of the solution is basically getting out of that regular 8 to 5 kind of job and be able to contribute more. So in 2006, Brother Iqbal and I, we basically starting the company. It fails a bit, and then after that, 2009, we quit our job. Both of us quitting our job, and basically we are running the company full time for the last 10 years. And now he's doing it full time as well. And with that, we would like to invite him to talk, give us a little bit more about the insight of how do you create, how you can push yourself to open your own company, especially in this difficult time. So, Brother Iqbal, with no further ado, I would like to invite you to talk.
Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. It's very nice to be with you again. I was speaking to you, I guess, IMSA group back in September on similar topic. And they invited me to talk a little bit more about this topic, especially with the pandemic. And it's nice to see you again, Masarif. Jazakallah khairan for joining. So let me start with a few things, because I know we're starting we're talking about starting a business, but some interesting statistics. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Let me do that here. Where's the option to screen? Okay. Tell me when you can see my screen. So, can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay.
That's blank though.
Yeah.
Only the title.
Okay. So, 31.7 million. That is the number of businesses, small businesses in the US, according to the last census of 2020. And then if we dig a little bit deeper, 99.7% of these businesses are what is considered small businesses, or less than 500 employees. And then if we think about another number, 200,000, that is the number of businesses that are considered mid-size, which means they make more than $10 million in profit and less than $1 billion, not profit, in revenue, and $10 billion in $1 billion in sales and $10 million, between 10 million and 1 billion. That's mid-sized companies. There's only 200,000 companies in the US that are in this range. And then another number is that almost 68% of the world's richest people are self-made. What that means is that they didn't inherit the money or win the lottery or some other means, but they actually earned the money through some sort of business venture or some sort of activity on their own. And 6,000 businesses are publicly traded. So we know of all the big companies like Google and Exxon and Dell. Well, I don't know if Dell went private, but HP. All of these companies are publicly traded. There's only 6,000 on the NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange. 75% of these businesses are sole proprietorships, meaning no employees. It's an owner-based business. 75% of this almost 32 million businesses, which is something like 25, 26 million, are basically no employees. They're one person or maybe a couple that owns the company. And then the last is this 78% number, which is the number of businesses that are actually small business that are actually profitable. Almost 80% of small businesses are profitable. So there is a good number of businesses that are not profitable. I wanted to give you this tech kind of background so you understand that there is a lot of people doing small business. There's a lot of one-person businesses. In fact, most of them, 99.7% are, simple small businesses. 75% are single owner, no employee businesses. So to give you that context, and then if you dig a little deeper, of all the 2020 full-time businesses, this is the revenue breakdown. Only 13% of businesses had greater than $500,000 in revenue. So what does that mean? What does that mean for us? This is not meant to be discouraging or anything like that, but it means to tell you that so many people are doing it And they're not all Googles and Amazons and Exxons and huge companies. There's a lot of small businesses, and a lot of them are successful. Alhamdulillah. So today, we're going to talk about starting a business. This is just some of my contact information if you want to connect with me online. I'm not a big poster on social media or anything like that, but I am on these social media platforms, and those are my handles if you'd like to connect with me offline. But today's discussion on starting a business, I have a few things I'd like you to, that I'm going to try to cover today. First, legal structures. What are some legal structures and what are the things that you need to think about? Then we'll talk about a business model. What's the right type of business, right size business? And this is where we'll dig into a lot more of, in the pandemic, what kind of business models are going to work for you in a pandemic situation or in this situation. Building a team. Although a lot of the businesses are one person, you will probably need a team. And that doesn't necessarily mean the people in your team are employees. They could be partners, they could be suppliers. Sometimes your customers could be part of your team. And then depending on the size of your business, you may need to select a board and some advice on that. You see a QR code there in the corner. So I have a quick poll for you to take. If you don't mind, you can use your smartphones. I also have a web link. Let me pull that web link for you. Where's my chat?
Yeah, you can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat so you can. Where's my chat? I'm not seeing my chat.
It's supposed to be enabled.
Oh, here it is. Okay, here, hold on. Yeah. Let me get that link for you. Why is this not working? A little technical difficulty here. Let me just get this real quick. I see some of you already started. Okay. Okay, I just put the link in the chat, so you can also answer there. We'll get back to that in a second. Okay. So I said, one of the first things that you really need to think about, there's two questions, by the way, on the chat. So after you answer the first one, there's a second question. One of the first things you really want to think about is the why of starting a business. Maybe the simple answer is I want to make money. Okay. And yeah, that's a good answer. But as you saw in the earlier statistics, not all companies are going to become huge, right? Not all companies are going to become billion-dollar businesses. In fact, most companies are not. So there has to be something more than, just making money. Sometimes it's being on your own and independent, not having to live the corporate culture and lifestyle and worrying about, performance evaluations at the end of the year or being laid off. Especially in this time. Sometimes you just enjoy building an organization and being part of something that you created. And then it could be leave a legacy. You want to, build something and leave it behind for your children and future generations. Lots of different reasons why you build a business. Of course, as Muslims, our number one reason is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And more than that, we know that economic strength is part of an Islamic community. An Islamic community is strong not just by following the Quran and the Sunnah, but it's also by establishing realms of strength. Okay, and one of those realms of strength is economic strength. You know, and so we want to be able to establish businesses as Muslims that helps us practice that part, and as well as build strength for the community. Okay, and this reason why you build a business is going to be something that you will go back to, because it is what inspires you and it is what helps you get through the difficult times. Okay, you know, as Brother Irwan was mentioning at the beginning about, you know, one of the reasons why we were so interested in starting our own businesses is the independence. Not having to worry about, you know, somebody else driving our schedule, somebody else determining whether we get a promotion or not, somebody else determining all of these things, whether we travel or not travel. We wanted that independence. We wanted to have a little bit more control of our schedule so that we could do other things that we would like to do. So that why is very, very important, that you establish that, and that's firm in your heart as far as why you're starting the business that you're starting. Okay, so let's dig into the poll results. Let's just see what the results were. There were two questions. Let me just share those with you. You can see on the screen what category best describes your status. So it looks like more than half of you are working full-time. That's great. And 14% of you are self-employed business owners. So, you know, a good number of you are either working full-time or you already have a business. Some of you are part-time, and then we see there's also a good number of you that are unemployed, and some of you are students. And the second question was, when do you plan to start a business? So it looks like 40% of you are not planning at this time. Okay, that's okay. But there's a good number of you, the rest of you, 60% of you, are thinking about starting a business within the next 3 years, and a good number within the next year or so. So that's good. That's good. Hopefully this is going to be of benefit to you as we get into some of the details here. All right, so let's get back to the presentation. Let me start with the legal structures that are out there. Now, these are some of the most common legal structures. There are others that I'm not going to talk about, but you could research. But most likely, if you're going to start a business, it's going to be one of these four structures. The first structure there, C corporation, is the most common for large businesses that you know of. You know, usually you see companies like, as I mentioned, Google or Amazon or any of these type of companies, Facebook. They are probably C corporations, and the reason for that is they protect the owners from liability. They are also good for investment. They have easy access to funding, but they have some challenges. One is the double taxation for the owners in particular. So if you are owning a C corporation, you're going to, let's say you pay yourself a salary, you're going to pay taxes on that salary as anybody else. You're going to get an income tax. You're going to pay income tax. But then on top of that, any dividends, any profit sharing that you get, you also pay tax on that. So that is what's called a double taxation. And smaller companies typically avoid C corporation structures. Then you have limited liability corporation, which is also a very, very common type of ownership structure. There also is liability to the owners, as mentioned in the title. It says limited liability. But here the taxes flow directly to the owners. So if, for example, I have my company, and let's say my company makes $100,000 in profit, and let's say my share of that is 50% or 25% or whatever it is, based on my partnership structure, then that $25,000 flows to me as an income, as a profit, and I have to pay tax on it. Whether I actually receive that money or not, it doesn't matter. From the IRS perspective, you still have to pay tax on it. You may ask, well, why wouldn't you get the money? Well, if you're running a business, you need cash in the business. So at the end of the year, if the business made $100,000, you may want to reinvest that money into the company. You may need it for inventory. You may need it for expansion. You may need it for other things for the business. And so you don't take all the profit, but you're still liable for that. Then the other thing I mentioned here is self-employment tax. So typically in an LLC, you distribute what's called a guaranteed payment. So instead of salary, you issue yourself a check as a guaranteed payment. And that guaranteed payment is just a check you get. Let's say you pay yourself $5,000 a month. You receive that $5,000 and there's no deduction, no nothing. If you are a full-time employee today, you work somewhere, when you pick up your pay stub, you will see, okay, I made $5,000, federal withholding, there's a number, Social Security, there's a number, Medicare, there's a number, and then at the bottom you say net pay, and it'll be something less than 5,000. Well, if you're getting a guaranteed payment, none of those deductions are happening. But you are responsible for those deductions at some point, usually at the end of the year. So it's very important that you understand how that works, or else you could be collecting this guaranteed payment for yourself, and then at the end of the year you see this big tax bill, and you didn't prepare for it, and so that could be a painful situation in the when it comes time to pay taxes. Okay, then the most common one is going to be the S corporation, especially for small businesses. You can have multiple owners, up to 100 owners, or shareholders, they're called. Taxes, again, flow directly to the owner. And then you can earn a salary in this type of structure. As I mentioned here, it combines some of the features of the LLC and the C corporation. So it does have some benefit in that regard. But if you are planning to raise money from investors, then an S corporation is a little bit more difficult. LLC and C corporation are most common when it comes to trying to raise money from investors.
So, Brother Iqbal.
Yes.
For TQ used to have a C corp, and also now it has the LLC. Is that a reason why we have two of them in the TQ automation?
So we changed from C corporation to LLC. Initially, remember, we had our dream of having the TQ group and multiple businesses under TQ, and we thought about how we could structure that. And so we created this C corporation, which would be the mother or the holding company for these other businesses. But then, it's very difficult to spend time on multiple things, as we saw, as we learned. So we, decided to just stick with the LLC. It worked better for us.
But we still keep the C corp.
We still have a C corporation, but it basically is dormant. It doesn't do anything right now. So if we ever needed to use it, we could use it. But right now, it's an inactive business. Okay, I think I talked about S corporation. The last one is sole proprietor. It's a single owner business. Here, you're going to basically have a company that you're the owner, and whatever you earn income will be directly on your 1040 tax return. So you may be, let's say you work at a company, and then you have a side business or something like that. So you will have both of those showing up on your tax return, versus if it was a S corporation or something like that, you would have a separate tax return for your business and a separate tax return for yourself. Okay, moving on. All right, so as I started with this, all businesses do not have to become Amazon, okay? But there are what are called high potential businesses, okay? These are businesses that are usually venture backed. They're backed by venture capital. They are going to have sales greater than $1 billion, or they expect that they will. And they are going to be usually the publicly traded companies, okay? These are the large businesses that you see, like right now, businesses like Uber and, obviously Facebook is already there. You see startups that are coming up that are becoming popular. Zoom, right? Zoom is now a high potential business. So that is on the very high end. Very few companies make it to that level. But inshallah, if you do start a business, we hope and pray that you're able to achieve that. Next is mid-size, as we talked about earlier, $10 million to $1 billion in revenue. They may be venture-backed. These are companies that people hope to get to the high potential, very large companies. Maybe they don't get there, but they still do very well, and they're very successful. And some of the larger ones may go public. A lot of these can remain private. You see companies like Chick-fil-A, for example, all over the country, huge company, but they're private. You cannot buy stock in Chick-fil-A. There's a reason for that, because they maintain their religious values. You see it everywhere you go within a Chick-fil-A. They're closed on Sunday and all of these things because they practice their religious beliefs, and because of that, they want to not go public, where they are controlled by stockholders, and they get maybe analyzed and criticized and all of those types of things. So mid-sized business can be very, very successful just as well. Then you have small businesses. There are many different definitions of what a small business is, but one of the common ones, especially by the Small Business Administration, is that these are businesses with less than 500 employees. Usually they have sales less than 10 million. And these are the large number of businesses, almost 99.7% of US businesses are in this category. Then you have sole proprietorships. As I mentioned before, no employees, owner operated. A good number of businesses are in this category. And then lastly, you have, side or part-time businesses, usually something to supplement your income, may become full-time with growth. You started off as a small business, and then eventually you hope that it grows while you're doing your day job. And then once it becomes large enough, maybe you take it into a full-time business. So businesses come in all different shapes and sizes. And so you should not be discouraged if your business does not become $1 billion business. We all hope that we can grow large businesses, but it's not always the case. All right. Next, let's talk about how do you actually start? Where do you start? You hear a lot about this business plans, create a business plan. Do you have a business plan? Somebody, if you go talking to somebody about your business, hey, do you have a business plan? And that is typically something that entrepreneurs will do and take a lot of time writing up. But this is a more modern framework that's being used today to help owners think about their business in many different ways, okay? So here you see there's this is called the Business Model Canvas. You can download this from the internet. There's a lot of information about it. But I want to just talk to you about some of these buckets so that you understand what it is and how it can help you think through your business. So the first thing here is revenue streams. I start at the bottom. Okay, I start down here in the bottom where it says revenue streams. And those are all the different ways that your business can make money. You know, you could be selling something, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. You know, nowadays a lot of people are doing. You know, you hear a lot about people doing business online, or maybe having a YouTube channel or Instagram or something like that, where they're making money. How are they doing that? Advertising. You know, every time somebody clicks, you know, on an advertisement that's on their YouTube channel or on their Instagram posts, they make money. So those are all different types of revenue streams. So it could be advertising revenue, it could be product or consulting revenue. It could be through a partnership. You could get royalties on a patent that you've written or something like that. And then there's costs related to that. So the second part, big bucket down here at the bottom, is the cost. So for every revenue stream, there's usually a cost related to that revenue stream, right? If I'm selling a product, well, if I'm manufacturing, there's a manufacturing cost to that product. If I'm buying and selling, then there's a cost to procure or acquire that. So I may pay $2 for an item and I sell it for $3.50 or $4 or $5. I don't know, something, right? So there's a $2 cost plus shipping and whatever else I'm paying, plus maybe I'm paying for packaging. You know, maybe when I send it out, I put it in a special box, or shipping. You know, I have free shipping, and that's part of my cost, right? So you have to understand both your revenue and your cost. Then you want to understand, what are your customer segments? Who am I selling it to, right? You may have what are called large customers, medium customers, small customers. You may have online customers versus in-store customers. You may have international customers versus domestic customers. All of these could be different customer segments. You need to understand the different customer segments, and you need to understand about each customer segment, why they buy from you. So what is the value proposition that you bring to these customer segments? Large customers may buy from you because you may keep things in stock and they like your availability, your speed to market, how quickly you can deliver. Small customers may come to you because they get your attention. If I'm trying to buy something from Walmart, I only get so much attention. But if I'm, let's say, for example, I'm Coca-Cola and I go to Walmart and I want to talk to them, I'm going to get a lot more attention from Walmart because I'm Coca-Cola. I'm a bigger customer, right? I'm a big player and they want to give me attention, right? So sometimes small customers will like to deal with you because they're going to get the attention that they need and that they don't get from bigger companies. So being a small player is not always a negative. It's not always a negative. So that's where customer relationships. So in here you see a box here called customer relationship. What is the relationships and how do you foster and grow those relationships? Do you, for example, have a newsletter? Do you go and meet your customer? Do you go and visit them, physically visit them, or call them? Do you have online chat availability? Some people don't even meet their customer, right? Many businesses today, Amazon, for example, has so many stores selling through them. Most of us don't even know who, what, where those products are coming from. We just see it on Amazon and we, say, put it in the shopping cart and we buy. We may interact with the owner or the business through an email or a chat, but for the most part, there's not really much interaction there. The other thing here is channels. So how do I reach my customer, or how does my customer reach me? Right? Today, we do online business, we do e-commerce, we may have our own website. You know, a lot of people using Amazon, maybe eBay. You know, then you could have a physical store where people come and buy in your shop. You could be doing delivery service, right? All of these are channels through which you can reach your customer and your customer can reach you. A couple of things on the far left side here. Key activities. What is the critical activities for your business? You know, in our business, you know, we do TQ Automation. We are a technical services firm, so we do a lot of engineering. We do a lot of technical work around repairing and designing products and repairing controllers or those kinds of things. So, you know, marketing is a key activity for us, but, you know, more important than marketing for us is our engineering skills and our ability to do technical skills. You need to know what are those key activities. What do you keep close to your heart and close to your business, and what you can outsource. Sometimes, for example, you know, shipping. You know, I mean, we do ship a lot of stuff. We ship product to our customers, but we don't do the shipping. We go to FedEx or UPS or the Postal Service or DHL to do that shipping for us. We deal with third parties. Versus if you're FedEx, that is your core activity. Shipping is your activity. So you handle everything from A to Z, right? So the key resources, you know, again, in our business, technical resources are very important. You know, we need key technical people. We need salespeople. But you know, we may not have a full-time accountant. We may hire somebody to do our accounting for us or our payroll for us. Some companies, you know, that's very important to them, and they have to keep that in-house. And then key partners. Partners are very important, especially if you're a small business. Those partners could be your suppliers, and those partners could be your customers. Those partners could be other businesses that are related to you. So I'll give you an example on our business. We know that there are companies that are trying to sell product, but they don't have the relationship with the customer. We, you know, spend a lot of time visiting customers. We reach out to customers. We have our own newsletter. We do a lot of things to get to customers. And so we establish a relationship. Hey, you give us a good price on your product, and we'll push it out to through our newsletter or through our contacts so that they buy your product. So it becomes a win-win. They get their product sold, and we get a product in our portfolio that we can sell. And we establish a good relationship with our customers because we're selling a product that they want at a good price. So that's how partners can help you. Partners do not necessarily have to be, I mean, they could be lawyers, they could be lots of different people that help. Yep.
I mean, I think in related to one of the questions about lawyer, I mean, I think what we did strategically in TQ, we made a partner with a very high level or very big law firm from the beginning of our business. And that helped us a lot, reducing a lot of this hassle and stuff like that on the legal issue, because they becomes our, I mean, kind of partner with us in this sense, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. So let's get to this. I think. Let me just touch on a couple of points here. You know, the third bullet here, don't be distracted by how others make money. I think there's a lot of tendency to be copycat and do copycat type of business. And, you know, somebody's making money doing that for a reason. They figured something out. They have some relationship, they have some knowledge, they have something that helps them do that business. Sometimes it looks easy when you see somebody else making so much money. Oh, I can do that. I mean, just to be funny, you know, I see all these YouTubers selling these products and making these funny videos like, oh, I can do that. Like, it's not so easy, right? It's like, you know, you watch athletes play sports. It's like, oh, well, I can do that. I can shoot a basketball. I can play baseball. I can play soccer. It's not so easy. When you go out and do it, you realize it's not so easy. So don't be distracted by how others make money. Look at your own strengths. Look at your own abilities. Look at where you have relationships and see how you can benefit from those relationships to create your business. So that's one thing I wanna say on this particular thing as you think about your business model. Now, in terms of the pandemic, what are the types of things that you can do today that can help you? The first thing I want to say is whatever business you build, don't build for the pandemic. The pandemic is something that will last for maybe another 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years. Hopefully within a year or so, once a vaccine is out and people get vaccinated, the pandemic, inshallah, will go away. And then it'll be kind of back to normal, right? So if you build a business, let's say, for example, you're going to sell masks or you want to sell sanitizer. Okay, you may do really well right now, but 6 months from now, a year from now, it may not be so easy. I know initially, I think I talked to you about this at one. When this whole thing happened, there was a mask shortage, and we happened to know some companies in Asia that had access to masks. Now, oh wow, maybe I can get those masks and sell them. Well, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. There's a lot of regulations and restrictions on those kinds of things. But now, if you walk into Walmart or any grocery store, there's masks all over the place. You can get them anywhere now. So maybe you made money for a month, but then it doesn't work. Okay, so don't build a business just for the pandemic. But these businesses, these ideas that are here, like a remote business, a lot of businesses are going remote now, where you can basically deliver services remotely. You don't need to be in front of the client. You can establish a Zoom meeting just like we're doing here, and you can build a relationship with your customer. You can provide engineering services. You can provide accounting or financial services. If you guys know, Fiverr or any of these types of services now, you can go to Fiverr and you can get your website done. You can get business card design. You can get a logo design. And that person is remote somewhere else, somewhere in other parts of the world, maybe sitting in Indonesia or Philippines or Pakistan or Middle East or Africa or South America. And they're able to do that because they have a skill. And they're able to get access through the internet. So remote business is something that can work under almost any circumstance. Online or e-commerce business, you see a lot of people doing that now. Amazon, even with the pandemic, has not been really that hurt versus some of the brick and mortars where people are expecting people to come into the store. Those people are hurting, but e-commerce, it's just a matter of figuring out what kind of products you can sell and building the platform to do that. And there are many ways you can learn more about online and e-commerce businesses. Okay, I'm sure all of us probably know somebody who's selling on Amazon, and maybe even they quit their job and they're doing well. Okay, now it can be done. It's not easy. Let's remember that. Anybody who's making money doing whatever they're doing, it's not easy, okay? They went through some struggle, they went through some lessons, they learned something that now it has become maybe easy, but it's not always easy to do that. But there are courses that you can take to learn more about that. Subscription models. So for the most part, nobody canceled their Netflix or their cable or their internet or their cell phone because of the pandemic. Now, if you had financial difficulties, maybe, but for the most part, you're not canceling your cell phone. It's a subscription model. You're paying every month for that service, right? And there are subscription models for food and this and that. I saw on Shark Tank, somebody was pitching a few months ago, coffee and some specialized coffee. They wanted to create a subscription model where you can order and it gets delivered to the house, and you order and you know, they don't have to go to any store, they don't have to do anything. So subscription models are very, very popular, and they're not necessarily hurt by this pandemic. And then the last is delivery and pickup options. So even traditional businesses can work well if you can figure out a way to either move to one of these other models, or you have delivery or pickup. I know, for example, people who used to do, who may be starting doing home catering business, right? Because it's not easy to go to a restaurant anymore. Going to the restaurant is very difficult and risky in many cases. So people are looking for other options. They don't want to always cook. They'd like to get some restaurant quality food. So being able to pick up from a restaurant is one thing. Or, you know, there's a brother or a sister who is a really good cook, and they make really good, you know, I don't know, in my case it's biryani, but in other cases it could be something else, but you order and you go have it delivered or pick up. So, you know, that could be another way that you could start a business in this pandemic. So these are all different ideas for business in this pandemic situation. You know, I've covered a lot. I don't know if there's any questions. I'm not seeing it.
There are a few questions coming in. But before we, before we continue there, we're gonna have some slides for the sponsors of the Muktamar.
Okay.
So if you're done with your presentation, we have a few questions coming in. But anyway, if, as I said, if you're done, then we can get the.
I have 2 more slides.
Okay.
So let me finish those up, and then we'll go to your sponsors and the questions.
Okay.
Okay. So the next thing is building a team. As I mentioned, you know, if you're a one-person business, you may not think that, oh, I need a team, but more than likely, you're not going to be able to do everything. Okay, so you're going to need a team, and these are some things to think about. You know, you need team members who can fill gaps in skills and capabilities. Okay, so you know, you may be a great engineer, you may be a great lawyer, you may be a great designer.
And just like between you and I mean, I'm a good looking and you're kind of almost like that.
I'm average, right? Yeah.
Average, yeah, you're average. So,
yeah.
So basically one of us taking care of the administration and also the business.
So that's why we put your face on all the marketing materials. So you may be a great, like as I mentioned, you could be a great technical person or something like that, but you don't have the accounting skills or something like that. So maybe you need to go and hire an accountant or hire somebody to do your payroll for you. You may need somebody to handle logistics if you're shipping. You want somebody who's going to fit in skill, but also personality. Do you work well with that person? You know, can you get along? Do they fit your business? you are a engineering company and somebody comes to you with, I don't know, something that's unrelated and, that's not really a good business fit for you. Maybe you're in the oil and gas business and somebody's bringing you, furniture. It's like, it doesn't relate, it's not a good fit.
It's not always hiring, basically. I mean, basically,
yes,
partner. A team is not, because in the starting the business, sometimes you don't have enough money to hire a lot of people, but you can offer people like what we did. We offer certain people with the certain skills that, hey, you're gonna help us with this. We give you the ownership of the company or the ownership of the product that we build and stuff like that. So it is not necessary to hire because you don't have money to do that. So basically, you hiring them based on their sweat equity, give them sweat equities basically onto that.
Right. You can figure out different creative ways to bring partners in. Not necessarily it has to be cash payment. There could be some collaboration. Maybe I help market your stuff, you help market my stuff, kind of deal. As Erwan is mentioning, maybe okay, you want to bring on a good engineer. Say okay, anything you bring to the company, then you get a share in the royalties for that, or in the sales for that particular product. So you could work out different types of arrangements. Another thing is resources and support team members, right? So they, whether it's financial support, somebody who can help you with networking, bring you contacts. It could be contractors and third parties that help you on a project by project basis. You don't have them all the time, but you get a project that's very specific on some sort of, electronics, or maybe on maybe mobile application software, or something mechanical, and you bring on somebody specific with that skill set and that ability to help you with that project, and they become part of your team for that project. But the last thing I want to mention here, character and values. It's very important that whoever you bring into your team, that you make sure that the character and the value of that person is something that you can accept, that it's a good character person. This is something that we know in Islam. In any decision we make, character is at the top of the list of how we evaluate and make a decision. And so, is the person patient? Are they humble? Are they going to cheat you? Are they, what's their track record? Those kinds of things is all very, very important to keep in mind. And the last thing I have is really on building a board. So not all businesses have a board, or board of directors, or board of trustees. Depending on the size of the business, the number of owners, usually the larger companies, all the larger companies will have boards. Smaller companies, especially if it's, a couple of people who own the business, they may not. But if you do decide to have a board, there are different reasons why you bring board members on. One is expertise and know-how. So you may bring on a board member who has a specific knowledge in a technology, maybe in a market region that you want to go to. Maybe they have contacts in a particular industry that you're trying to enter.
Iqbal, can we wrap it up so that there are a lot of questions coming in?
Okay. All right. So let's stop here. I think let's answer the questions. I think that's more important, and then we'll go from there.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, Brother Iqbal. My wife used to be jealous of Iqbal because I spend more time with him than at home. So anyway, go ahead, brother.
For more than 30 years, Amana Mutual Funds have provided halal investment vehicles serving the unique needs of the Muslim community. Discover how you can align your investments with your principles in a retirement, health, or education savings account, or invest for Hajj. To obtain this and other important information in a prospectus or summary prospectus, please visit amanafunds.com or call toll-free 1-888-732-6262. Please read the prospectus and consider an investment's objectives, risks, charges, and expenses carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. The Amana funds limit the securities they purchase to those consistent with Islamic principles. This limits opportunities and may affect performance.
Jazakumullah khair for Triple IT and Amana Mutual Fund for the sponsor. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of the boards of that company and for their support to our organization, inshallah. So anyway, let's start with a couple of questions. I tried to answer some of them, but I know, as I said, I'm just in the good-looking part, not in the those kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna go through it and see what we have. Okay. One of them is that from Athena Enterprise. It says, when will be the best time to change from LLC to S Corp? And Athena Enterprise is owned by our brothers in Houston. You know, Dudi, Rendusara, and all these brothers.
Yeah, I guess, that's really more of an accounting type question, but, LLC, and so an LLC can be taxed as an S Corp. You have that option, okay? So we are an LLC taxed as an S Corp. And so you need to investigate with probably your accountant on how that would impact your taxes individually and as a corporation. Now, in either case, the taxes flow to the owners of the company. So it's probably more on, what filings you do and then how that impacts your taxes. But that's a good question for an accountant. But from a tax perspective, I don't know legally if there's a legal reason why you would want to change. We did, as I said, we are an LLC taxed as an S corporation. If you look on your IRS form, I think it's 1120S or something like that, there is a place where you can check treated as an S corporation on the LLC tax return.
Yeah, but and one of the things that the other team that you are selecting, for example, the partners, you have to also get a trustworthy accountant that can give you a genuine advice about where you're going to put your company. For us, we try to find somebody that we know really well, and we trust them with everything that we have for their consultation about how we're going to move forward in left or right. And then we know the brothers for the longest time, and he was a accountant that we know. So anyway, the second one is basically about a legal challenge. This is related to what we have earlier, that the brother said, how do you address, Brother David Bright says, how do you address the legal challenges and issues in consultation? I feel that one of the biggest hurdles is that many of us are not lawyers. and it seems like lawyers are really expensive. I mean, for us, is that Iqbal, if I'm not mistaken, we selected a large corporation, and then we make the negotiation with them, and they take us with the limited, what do you call it? Since we were doing a lot of international business, we would like to have some big firm that has that stuff. So we went to them, and they basically we have to put money about $5,000 in their escrow account, and then each time we ask them for questions, it's about what $700. The most expensive Starbucks that I've ever drink is in their office, because I drink one Starbucks and we pay $700 out of it. But there are some other stuff. Probably Iqbal can give also a little bit of those. And then we moved to another lawyers recently, I believe, right?
Yeah. So that's a problem for many of us, right? The legal fees or expenses that are potential you can incur, and that's why you see a lot of these online services like LegalZoom and some of these other online services that are available. So the first thing is there's legal issues, just kind of establishing the company in terms of what form legal structure you want to choose. Do you want to have some sort of ownership agreement between owners? Ownership agreement means, for example, if Irwan and I are partners, if something happens to one of us, then what happens to the business? How do we handle that? If we decide to break up, how does that breakup occur? How do things get? It's almost like you think about that example, but prenuptial agreement. But it's that type of agreement that beforehand you settle some issues of how the owners work and work together and what that relationship looks like. So yes, there are some legal challenges. There are things online where you can get some references, sources, maybe even some template documents. What I found is the best way to work with the lawyers is you don't necessarily have to have the most expensive lawyer. Okay, there are lots of lawyers out there, but they're still, even at $200 an hour or $300 an hour, it's still quite expensive. But when you sit with them, you have a conversation. You say, look, I'm in this situation, and I don't have a lot of money to spend on this stuff. And so what a lot of lawyers do is they have a assistant. So they have a junior lawyer that works with them. So if the senior partner charges $500, he has a junior who's maybe $200 or $250. It's still high, okay? But that's one way that you can avoid some of those legal costs or reduce some of those legal costs. Sometimes it's just asking around. Somebody else has a business. They have a template document. You get that document, you look at it, you read through it, you maybe make some changes, and then you have a lawyer review it. So for a lawyer to review something is usually a lot cheaper than for a lawyer to draft it from scratch. So those are just some ideas on the legal side. There's not much you can do to avoid some of those things, unfortunately, but it's something you need to build into your cost. Actually, you need to just make sure that hey, there's going to be some legal costs, and I need to set aside some money for that. I see here some things about DBAs. Somebody asked a question about a single owner LLC runs more than one type of business. Is it better to create DBA? How many DBA? Okay, so I know under TQ Automation, we have had multiple DBAs. It doesn't impact your taxes. When you go to the bank, you tell them you have a DBA. You usually have to fill out a form with the county or something like that that establishes your DBA. The DBA DBA, for example, means doing business as. So TQ automation, or I should say TQ, we have a DBA called TQ Tech. So TQ Tech, DBA of TQ automation. So people can write checks to TQ Tech, and I can deposit it in my account, and it all goes to the TQ automation account. When I do my taxes, I cannot separate that. I don't have to fill out a separate tax form. I don't have to do that. It's all part of my TQ automation revenue. Now, I can, in my accounting system, categorize it. So this was a check for TQ Tech. This was a check for TQ automation. This was a check for TQ, solutions, or whatever other entity I may have. And then the number, I'm not sure. I know that once you create a DBA, I think it's at least 10 years that you can keep that DBA, and then I think you can renew it. But I'm not sure if there's a limit on the number of DBAs. I know we have at least 3, maybe 4. So hope that answers that question. So let me see what else. Somebody's asking about lawyer information. Yeah, I mean, I can share it with you. My lawyer, our lawyer for TQ Automation is more focused on oil and gas, but if that's of interest to you, it's in Austin, but I can get that information for you. Okay, I'm not sure what this question is about a cook. All right, anything else? Let's see, does tax software for business good enough for a sole proprietor, or does it need to be an accountant to prepare taxes? Okay. We use QuickBooks, and I do our QuickBooks. I do have a accountant to do my taxes at the end of the year that checks my, it doesn't really look at my QuickBooks in detail, but I print out a report, and they review and make sure that the report looks good. Now, I will say that if you try to do QuickBooks is the most common tax software by Intuit. You could use others. I think there's probably other options. You should probably take a course on QuickBooks. You need to have some basic accounting knowledge. You need to understand what's the difference between accounts receivable, accounts payable. What's the difference between a liability and an asset? What's the difference? How do you do? What's a general ledger entry? And why would I do it? And when do I do it? What are debits and credits? Yes, you can do basic stuff in QuickBooks by yourself, but if you make a mistake, for example, you're going to need to know how to fix that, and you need to know how to navigate in QuickBooks. What do you need to do? There are things like reconciliation of accounts that you need to do. So those are all things that I think are helpful to either have a course or have an accountant help you. It all depends on the size of the business. It also depends on your background. If you are, if you studied, let's say, for example, you study English or history or something like that, and you'd never had any business background, or your math is not very strong, or you don't understand some of these concepts, then I would not go and try to do QuickBooks on your own. I would probably hire an accountant. And nowadays there's a lot of services that have monthly subscription where you can get an accountant on a monthly subscription type of service. recommendations on reading. You know, to be honest with you, when I started, I was reading those initial books on, you know, the dummy series, right? Accounting for Dummies, you know, starting your business, entrepreneurship for dummies, and things like that. Just getting some basic information from there. Talking to people was another, you know, thing that I did. So those are just some ideas. If you're into the startup type of thing, you know, Lean Startup is a good book for people who are thinking about starting up a tech, especially on a technology company or something like that.
Can you put it in the chat? The name of the book, Iqbal?
Yeah, it's called Lean Startup.
So we have a few more minutes, about 5 to 10 minutes to go before closing it. Probably gonna close it before 5:15. Oh, 5 minutes only. I'm sorry. So any other questions that? Sorry, I was kicked out by mistake into this from the Zoom earlier. So
There's a question here. Why is it not a good idea to change from LLC to C Corp? I would not say it's not a good idea. It really depends on the type of business you have and whether making that change makes sense for you from a tax perspective, from a legal perspective, maybe from an investment perspective. I think, you know, the question is coming from Atina Enterprises, and I think you said that they're an investment company. So it's probably important to understand what, you know, what's a good legal structure to be able to take in money from investors, and to be able to handle that money and to be able to issue, you know, reports and those kinds of things, because when you're handling other people's money, you know, you've got to be able to report back to them from a legal perspective, and, you know, fitting all the IRS requirements, and I don't know what all those are. So that may need you to check with again, an accountant or somebody like that. Any other questions? I don't see any other questions. I think we covered most everything that's here.
all right, inshallah. If not more, you can reach Brother Iqbal at iqbal@tqautomation.com. That's also a valid one. Don't send any question to me, just send it to him. Anyway, so Jazakallah khair for your time, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and bless your family. Also, may I basically we see each other more often, inshallah, like before. Anyway, and then let's close it. We're gonna close the session of this session, inshallah. And for the audience, inshallah, we'll have the IMSA entrepreneurship day. We have the business one-on-one session that happening every 2 weeks, and inshallah after this, so you can follow us, and we can announce it in Facebook. Just look through it, and we have a lot of session about how to create a company, or the other company, how the other Indonesian Muslims in the area in United States started their company. We can start with all of those kind of stuff. There are a lot of brothers and sisters that started their own company, Indonesian Muslim, and we can have them as a guest speaker, and they talk about their struggles and how they be able to do that. So inshallah, just follow us in IMSA Entrepreneurship after this Muqtar, inshallah. Let's close this one with dua kafaratul majalis. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, asyhadu an la ilaha illa ant, wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihati wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Jazakumullah khair for everybody. I'll see you again next time in our session, inshallah. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.